Hey guys, welcome to the channel, welcome to another video. Another round of Premier League fixtures is upon us, so that means it is time for another Premier League predictions video. Another big round of fixtures are hitting us hard in the Premier League for this upcoming weekend. That is going to affect the entirety of the Premier League table as we count down the games until the final run-in of the season. Big games, we're going to be doing the analysis and the predictions as always, but before we go any further, I would like to remind you all to please like the video and also subscribe if you're new. Both things are always incredibly greatly appreciated. But for now, let's get into the predictions. We're going to kick things off with Saturday's lunchtime game. It is Bournemouth taking on Liverpool. It is obviously a Bournemouth side that are in desperate need of points, having been in the relegation battle, alongside a Liverpool side who of course have got a bit of momentum in recent weeks with some good results going in their favour, as well as that incredible and phenomenal 7-0 victory against Manchester United last week that I'm sure the Reds are still riding very high on. Look, Liverpool's away form hasn't been that great this season. Their away form hasn't been at their best, and of course with this being the Saturday midday kickoff, it does tempt a little bit of fate that maybe the underdog might pull off something that will stun the Reds here and that Liverpool may drop points. And let's face it, with the kind of season that Liverpool are having, would it really shock you if Liverpool did end up dropping points here? Look, that could all happen. But I am going to go with the more likely result, which is that Liverpool get the 3 points here and continue to chase top 4 as it is, and obviously put some real pressure on Tottenham before they even kick a ball in the 3 o'clock game that they have on Saturday. That's why I'm going to go for a Liverpool win, and I'm going to say that the Reds come out of this one as 3-0 winners. Next up, we're off to Goodison Park. It is Everton taking on Brentford. Everton at home. Everton at home normally kind of means that they have got a better chance of winning this game, but this is against the Brentford side that are unbeaten in their last 12 Premier League games. They are unbeaten in those last 12 Premier League games, and of course their latest result was a 3-2 victory in a London derby against Fulham on Monday night. So Brentford will be fancying their chances in this one. Everton need to get back to winning ways. No win in the last 3 games for them. Their last result was a 2-2 draw against Nottingham Forest on Sunday. Look, Everton are in desperate need of points. They're in a relegation battle. They need the points desperately. Brentford are looking to just push as high as they can. There is talk of European football at the end of this season for Brentford, should they obviously maintain this good run of form. And like I say, being unbeaten in the last 12 games is an incredible achievement by Thomas Frank and his side. And really, they should be winning this game. Obviously, Everton can pull off a draw. It isn't out of the realms of possibility for Everton to get something from this game. But against the Brentford side that can play some really good and attractive football and put in a very solid performance when on their day, this should be a win for the away side, which is why I'm going to say 2-0 to the Bees. Next up, we're off to Ellen Road. It is Leeds United taking on Brighton. Leeds, again, another team in the relegation battle, another team in need of points against the Brighton side that may just fancy their chances of maybe breaking into the top 4. They've done extremely well, have Brighton, this season, and with a couple of games in hand over the teams that are above them, might just fancy their chances of breaking into the top 4, into a Champions League place, should they continue their good run of form and obviously use their games in hand to their advantage. This one obviously represents a good test for Leeds. This one obviously represents, alternatively, a good test for Brighton to keep up their good form, to keep up the pressure on the teams that are above them, and obviously represents a good chance of 3 points against the Leeds side that are, you know, a bit hit and miss, a bit inconsistent this season, hence why they are where they are in the table. And that is why I'm going to have to say that Brighton come out of this as the winners. And I'm going to say that this game ends 2-1 to the Seagulls. The game at the King Power Stadium is set to play out Saturday at 3 o'clock as Leicester host Chelsea. Big clash between Brendan Rodgers' side and Graham Potter's side. You've got Leicester, who have been very inconsistent this season. They look good on occasion and then they look bad on occasion. Hence last week where they lost 1-0 to relegation-threatened Southampton. You've got a Chelsea side that have been very below par throughout the majority of this season, and hence why they are kind of floundering in a mediocre mid-table standing right now. But For Chelsea, there might be a bit of light at the end of the tunnel because obviously beating Borussia Dortmund midweek in the Champions League to advance to the next stage of that competition might just have given them a bit of extra confidence going into this game. Look, Leicester at home can be very difficult, and we know that they can be very difficult on their day. They've still got plenty of good players within their ranks, and they can do damage to Chelsea. And they'll be fancying their chance against the Chelsea side that haven't been entirely convincing throughout most parts of this season. But a Chelsea side that are coming into this game off the back of a win midweek, maybe getting a bit of confidence that way. And obviously this is an important part of the season for Graham Potter and for Chelsea, in which Potter needs to turn these results around if he is to try and win back some of the Chelsea fans that have seemingly already lost faith in him in terms of building this long-term project and looking at the bigger picture and everything. It is a big game ahead for both sets of both clubs, both sets of fans. A draw may seem likely, but I am going to give the slight edge, the slightest of edges, just to Chelsea, and so that they just about edge this game out for the 3 points. And I'm going to say that Chelsea win this game by 2-1. Our next game seems a big game for Tottenham Hotspur. They are at home. They are hosting Nottingham Forest at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. A big test ahead for both of these sides. You've got Tottenham, of course, who are currently occupying that top 4 spot, but they don't seem to have a big grasp on that top 4 spot yet. With teams below them gathering a bit of momentum, as I explained earlier, obviously Tottenham are in need of trying to cement their position there by winning by any means necessary. But with all the problems that are going off seemingly behind the scenes and obviously on the pitch as well in terms of inconsistent results, obviously it is looking a little bit shaky and a little bit worrying, or at least cause for concern if you are a Tottenham Hotspur fan. As far as Forest go, well, they're not exactly the better away from home than they are actually at home, but I think they'll be fancying their chances in this game. I think that if they play a counter-attacking football, they let Spurs have the ball, they remain solid, they try and let Spurs try and break them down, I reckon they can be lethal on the counter-attack and may be able to get something from this game should, of course, they take their chances. However, in saying that, whilst a draw I can see definitely happening, I would predict that Tottenham just about edge this game out with the match winners they've got on display. Mainly, obviously, Harry Kane. At the time of recording, of course, Tottenham are set to play tonight in the Champions League. It's going to be a big game for Tottenham in terms of that aspect. Fatigue could also play a part in this game as well, so that one could be interesting to see if that goes forward as well. But I am going to give the slight edge to Tottenham, simply for, like I say, the match winners that they have on display, mainly Harry Kane, and say that Spurs come out of this game as 2-1 winners. Saturday's evening clash sees Crystal Palace host Manchester City at Selhurst Park. Big game for both of these sides. Palace have been a bit of a bogey side for Manchester City these past recent years, especially at Selhurst Park, where Palace obviously get the crowd really riled up. It's a bit of a hostile atmosphere for Manchester City. But with no win in 2023 so far for Crystal Palace in the Premier League, obviously City might be fancying their chances here. And City have been putting together some pretty good results and seemingly starting to turn the wheels of how we know Manchester City can be in these kinds of situations. Obviously, City will be wanting to obviously try and gain some momentum on Arsenal, to try and put some pressure on Arsenal before they play on Sunday. So that will obviously be a bit of an extra incentive for them. For Palace, it's about trying to win their first game in 2023 and put a bit more points between them and relegation. So a lot to play for in this game. My prediction is that City will win. I just don't... As much as Palace have been a bit of a bogey side for them, I just think City have a bit too much to play for. And obviously with Palace not being in the best of form right now, I think City have caught them at the right time. And whilst obviously anything can happen, this could be a bit of a banana skin, I just see City winning this game. And that is why I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory in favour of Manchester City. Moving on to Sunday's games. First up, one of the 2 o'clock games to take place on that day is Manchester United against Southampton at Old Trafford. Big game for Manchester United. Obviously, at the time of recording, we are yet to know the result of Manchester United's game midweek in the Europa League when they take on Real Betis. So Be interesting to see how that one goes and how Erik ten Hag rotates, and if he does rotate, and what kind of team he's going to put out for both that game and of course for the game on Sunday. Will that have an effect on this game? Only time will tell. But it will also be interesting to see if they can bounce back in the Premier League. Obviously, coming off the back of that incredibly humiliating and embarrassing 7-0 defeat to Liverpool last Sunday will obviously be key, and United fans definitely will want a response in terms of performance and result in this game. And they come up against the Southampton side. Now, on paper, it may seem that United are heavy favourites, and they probably are. Well, not probably are, but they definitely are favourites for this game, being at home against the Southampton side that are obviously in a relegation battle. But these are the kinds of games in which Southampton in the past have been a bit of a thorn in the big team's side. Occasionally, Southampton will put in the kind of good performances against these top sides that often see them steal points. It potentially could happen on Sunday. If United are licking their wounds from last week or still feel bad about last week, feeling sorry for themselves, Southampton may fancy their chances. I don't reckon it will happen, but it is just something to point out that possibly Southampton might get something from this game. In saying that though, I just think United had too many match winners. They'll be wanting a response, demanding a response from that humiliating defeat last week, and I think they will definitely get it in this game. But don't write off Southampton too soon. In terms of a prediction, I am going to go with a United win and say that the Red Devils come out of this one as 2-1 winners. Next up, we're at the London Stadium. It is West Ham United against Aston Villa. It is David Moyes taking on Unai Emery in this one. Big game for both sides. Obviously, West Ham inconsistent to say the least. Aston Villa still finding their feet under Unai Emery, but putting together a couple of good results in recent weeks. Interesting game to call. West Ham at home can always be difficult. They always have the ability to turn it on, even though they haven't done so much so this season, with hence why the inconsistency and hence why they're a bit lower in the table than we have seen them in recent seasons. Villa, like I say, finding their feet, trying to be strong defensively and build from there. Be interesting to see how the sort of Unai Emery project, so to speak, continues to build with him at the helm. This one generally could go any which way. I'm going to say a draw though. I'm going to say that this game will end down the middle. I think West Ham being at home might just see them cancel out Aston Villa a little bit, and that is why I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw come the final whistle. Our penultimate game on this list sees Newcastle United take on Wolverhampton Wanderers at St James's Park. Intriguing game, this one. Obviously, Newcastle were riding high a couple of months ago, and then within the past couple of months, their form has started to take a bit of a nosedive. A lack of goals. The goals are definitely dried up for Newcastle, and they've lost their top 4 spot as well. They are still in pursuit. They're still very much in that race, but they need to start turning those results around. They need to start scoring more goals as well. And they go up against a Wolves side who, under Julian Lopetegui, haven't exactly been at their best, but haven't exactly been at their worst. But inconsistent to start off with. They're still finding their feet under their new manager. But they themselves have actually started to put together a couple of good results in recent weeks. A few good results here and there, scattered with the inconsistent form. To add on to this, you've got Newcastle, who, like I say, have had their goals dry up in recent games. You've got Wolverhampton Wanderers, who are the joint lowest goal scorers in the division so far this Premier League season. I'm not expecting a flurry of goals in this game. I'm not expecting a goals galore kind of game here, in which it's going to end something ridiculous like 5-5, 5-4, 6-5, something along those lines. A 0-0 draw could be possible. I don't really like to predict a 0-0 draw. I think it's kind of boring. So I will go for a draw anyway, but I'm going to say that this game will end 1-1 come the final whistle. And finally, we're going to go back to the biggest game of this round of fixtures, in my opinion. A massive game. The main event of this round of Premier League fixtures is a massive London derby. It is Fulham at home at Craven Cottage, taking on Arsenal. Top of the table Arsenal, leading the way Arsenal. 5 points clear at the top of the table Arsenal. Will it stay that way? come the end of this weekend. Will Arsenal extend their lead, or will they have their lead cut by Manchester City to a couple of points, or maybe even 4 points, depending on how results go this weekend? Look, Fulham been better this season than a lot of people would have thought, including myself, of course. They've got a good squad, a solid squad, a squad that mixes it up completely, from being technical and being a passing team to obviously being a more direct team. Results have been a bit inconsistent in recent weeks. They haven't exactly had the best of results, and they actually lost a London derby most recently on Monday night, when of course they lost to Brentford. But they come up against an Arsenal side that are really feeling it right now. They are in some good form. They're starting to turn their results around. They had a bit of a blip, but that's all it turned out to be, it seems, a bit of a blip. They turned the results around. They're starting to win games again. They're starting to score plenty of goals again. And of course, they come into this game high on confidence, and obviously with the knowledge that they're just taking one game at a time as they count down the games till the final day of the Premier League season, or to mathematically win the Premier League. Arsenal will know to win regardless. They won't care, I don't think, about what Manchester City do on the previous day when they take on Crystal Palace. Obviously, the way that they're playing and everything, you would solidly expect Arsenal, despite being away from home, despite being a London derby, to go to Fulham and get the result, get the job done. Obviously, former Arsenal man Willian might be in the Fulham squad, so of course that might, for a bit of a spanner in the works, and might be some sort of headline written in the stars kind of thing as to how he put a bit of a dent in Arsenal's Premier League title charge. But I would solidly expect Arsenal to go on and win this game. And that's why I'm going to go with an Arsenal win. I'm going to say that the Gunners come out of this one as 3-1 winners. But as I always say, these are the thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it, of this guy. I don't know what you guys think. What do you make of any of the games that are coming up this weekend in a big upcoming round of Premier League fixtures? What are your own thoughts, your comments, opinions, but most of all, of course, your predictions on all of the games that are coming up this weekend? I'd love to read them all down below in the comment section. Otherwise, hit the like button on the way up, enjoy the video, subscribe if you're new, want to see more content like this. Both things are always incredibly greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch. This has been another Premier League predictions video, and I'll see you all again soon in another video.